today we are going to be talking about WrestleMania 6. This WrestleMania was like that one for me when in my childhood that I can really recall and really remember. Being able to see the two top guys at the time, the two guys that every kid truly loved. We're talking Hogan and Ultimate Warrior. These guys were the face of the 80s, and they collided at WrestleMania 6. And as an adult, yeah, it might not be the greatest match we've ever seen, but when I was a kid, to be able to watch that match, it seemed like it was the greatest match ever. It seemed like it was an Ali Frazier type of feud and a type of match. It was good guy versus good guy. It was the greatest night of my childhood at that time. And I can still appreciate it as an adult. I can look back on that match and it just brings back some nostalgia. It brings back a night of memories for me. So let's dive into that night. Let's dive into WrestleMania 6 and let's just see what makes that WrestleMania so special. All right, guys, it's April 1st, 1990. April Fools. We're in the SkyDome in Toronto. 67,000 people have shown up for the Ultimate Challenge. Now, before we dive into the main event, let's look at what the night held for us. I'm going to give you some of those key matches, some of those highlight moments. We got to see Ravishing Rick Rude versus Jimmy Snuka. Rude dominated with his arrogant heel persona, goes over against Jimmy. Then we get to see Jake the Snake Roberts versus the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. Story-driven match involving DiBiase's money gimmick. Go back and watch this match. Jake the Snake versus Ted DiBiase. Anytime you put these two type of men in the ring together, and we're talking two heels, but these are two men that know how to work probably better than anybody in that locker room. They are two of the best wrestlers to ever lace up the boots. And for them to go at it against each other at WrestleMania 6, that's a main event type of match if you like good work. If you like a good, solid match where there's no wasted moves, there's no wasted moments, there's no wasted movement. Then we get to see the Macho Man, Randy Savage. And if you love the Macho Man, Randy Savage, be sure to head over to rootsoffight.com and use When Wrestling Was Real. Get yourself 20% off and pick yourself up some Macho Man t-shirts. We get to see Macho Man, Randy Savage along with Sensational Sherry versus Dusty Rhodes and Sapphire. This is a mixed tag match. Strong character storytelling. Two great workers in the ring there with Macho Man and Dusty. Sherry is Hall of Famer. She is one of the best managers, but also I think people just don't understand how great she was in the ring as well. She was a phenomenal wrestler. A mixed tag with this type of talent in the ring, it's hard to, you didn't get those very often. It's really nice to be able to see something like that and to be able to have workers like Macho Man and Dusty in there. And then on top of it, having Sapphire and Sensational Sherry, adding that twist, adding some seasoning to the recipe there. Unbelievable. This year's Hall of Fame class includes Demolition, and they faced off against the Colossal Connection. This was big powerhouse tag team wrestling, guys. This wasn't, your backflips. This wasn't your TLC matches. This wasn't, that the flippity doos off the top rope. This was four brutal big men. They were in that ring to beat the living daylights out of each other. They end up going over. They ended up winning the titles. They become the new champions, and we end up seeing the Colossal Connection split up. Then we see technical wrestling versus the showmanship. Brutus the Barber Beefcake versus Mr. Perfect, Kurt Hennig. What we saw was Brutus the Barber Beefcake. He had the look. He had the big muscles. He had everything that the 80s consisted of. And then you got Mr. Perfect, who, Mr. Perfect, man, in the ring, there's not 5 or 6 people better than him. I mean, he is a top 10 technical wrestler of all time, if not top 5. And now you have these two different styles clashing in the ring. It makes you have to tell a story the right way. And they did it that night. Let's go to the reason why anyone and everyone would watch this WrestleMania. We get to see Hulk Hogan versus the Ultimate Warrior, a clash, a battle of good guys of the 80s. Hulk Hogan, he's the face of WWE or WWF at the time throughout the 1980s. He's the long reigning WWF champion. He's beat the likes of Andre the Giant. Hulk Hogan was the epitome of professional wrestling. He's the tip of the spear. He is the top of the mountain. Everyone is looking up at Hogan. He's on the cover of magazines. He's on talk shows. He's doing interviews that are outside of professional wrestling. He's done the movies. He's done it all, okay? And then we have the Ultimate Warrior, exploding popularity at the time, dominant Intercontinental Champion. What I remember Ultimate Warrior with the Intercontinental Championship more than I do the WWF Championship. There's something I think about things like this, like how you look wearing the belt, what the belt looks like on you. He looked better carrying the Intercontinental Championship. I've said that about Bret Hart too. I think Bret Hart looks better with the Intercontinental Championship. I think Shawn Michaels looks better with the Intercontinental Championship. And Ultimate Warrior, I felt like, was the same way. He just looked different. He looked better with that Intercontinental Championship around his waist. And when I think about Intercontinental Champions, he's one of those people that I put up there in my head as one of those guys that I think of kind of first as the Intercontinental Championship. I still believe that the Intercontinental Championship belongs to the honky tonk man forever, but that's a different episode. Both were positioned as unstoppable forces. Hogan had the charisma, he had the legacy, and of course he had Hulkamania and all of the Hulkamaniacs behind him, brother. The Ultimate Warrior, man, he was intense. His energy and his mystique, okay? He's got the face paint on. His promos are crazy and out of this world, and just he's on another planet doing things, right? And we as children, we as kids, and even a lot of adults at that time, we have no idea who we're supposed to pull for. Are we allowed to pull for both guys? I mean, yeah, who's the heel here? We don't have one. It's not defined. And there's no tension between these guys. There's no betrayal. There's no heel turn. There's none of those things. We've got two baby faces that are at the top of their game, tip of the spear, going at it. And we have no idea who we're supposed to cheer for, who we're supposed to boo. Instead, we had competitive friction. Who's the real top guy? Who represents the future? Hulkamania has been running wild since throughout the whole 80s. But Ultimate Warrior's come on the scene. Got the really defined muscles, and he's got the tassels off his arms, and he's got the face paint. He's colorful. He's got the wild trunks and the crazy looking jackets and the hair, and everyone is being pulled. He's like a magnet. Do we keep the old guard or do we go with the new blood? The promos emphasized respect, but also ego. Warrior speaking in his intense, cryptic style. You don't know what he's actually saying. You gotta go in. It's like a puzzle. It's like a 5,000 piece puzzle. There's a lot to it. Very complex, very deep here. Hogan framing it as a test of greatness. Now, we know that Hogan, his promos sometimes were wide but not deep. What was fun about this night was the way that the SkyDome looked that night. The way the camera was, this ring, these two giants, the angles made them look like the spotlight was right on them. You've got this massive amount of people. It felt bigger than 67,000. It felt like 600,000 people had all of their eyes on this lit up ring in the middle of this dome. And they took their time. Warrior doing what Warrior does, come into the ring. Hogan being Hogan as he glides his way into the ring with tearing his shirt off. And the arena just erupting. But once they got in the ring, they took a moment staring at each other. The crowd is going berserk. The massive crowd reaction for both men. It's a split audience. Immediate feelings were, this is bigger than a normal match. That's what makes the WrestleMania 6 so special, in my opinion. This felt bigger than the match itself. Once again, maybe not the greatest match. I don't think it ranks, in that top 10 of greatest WrestleMania matches, but it ranks in the top 5 of those nostalgic moments in WrestleMania and in just WWF, WWE history for me. The power exchange early on, the shoulder blocks where neither man would go down, it established equal strength and dominance. I loved when they did the test of strength and Hogan falls to his knees and we see Ultimate Warrior. His arms are shaking and the grimace on his face, putting Hulkamania on their knees in that moment. And then all of a sudden the crowd pulls Hogan back up. And what does he do? He does the same thing to Ultimate Warrior. And he looks around at the crowd and everyone at that moment, they go back to being part of Hulkamania. It was running wild that night. And that being the start of the match, that being the beginning of the match, we see these shoulder blocks, we see this test of strength, and we just know these two men, who is going to get the edge on the other one? Who's going to outsmart the other one? Who is going to perform a move that's going to break the other one? More than anything, how can I get half of this audience to start pulling for me? I need to get the energy from the crowd. I need to get that other half on my side. Each man tried his best to do that. But there was a psychology shift. Hogan, he began targeting Ultimate Warrior more methodically. And then Warrior, he started selling more than he usually does. I mean, Warrior wasn't necessarily known for just really his work in the ring, but more than anything, him selling, especially at this moment. Warrior thought that he was the face. Warrior thought that he should be at the top of the mountain. But it showed some vulnerability. We saw a side of Ultimate Warrior that we never saw. We never saw him get hurt or him struggle or big moves take him down because he was so strong. But we saw it in this match. You've got to sell for a guy like Hulk. If you don't in this moment, if you're not selling for him, you're really killing a decade worth of hard work that WWF put into this, that Vince McMahon put into this. You've got to sell for Hogan in this match. There's no doubt about it. Ultimate Warrior knew exactly what to do that night, and he did it the right way. He knew where how his bread was getting buttered. He knew who he was standing in front of. Ultimately, he had respect for Hogan and what Hogan had done and how he had helped build professional wrestling. But this subtly positions Hogan as the veteran. Hogan showing that he knows a little bit more. This is helping put Hogan over in this moment. Hogan doesn't need to get put over by Warrior, but Warrior's allowing it. It's showing that Warrior may need a few more years to learn everything that he needs to know. Hogan might not be the young man in the ring anymore. His muscles might not be as big as the man standing in front of him all of a sudden, but he's still a veteran. He's still seasoned. He's not as green as Ultimate Warrior. This episode is sponsored by Zeros. Go to drinkzeros.com. Find your favorite flavors today. Mine's going to be orange. These guys, they're amazing. It's veteran owned, veteran operated, 0 carbs, gluten-free, 0 sugar, only 90 calories. And the flavors are amazing, guys. Like I said, I'm drinking the orange today. Anything orange, I'm pretty much down with. My 2 favorite flavors is orange and grape. Go to drinkzeros.com to be able to find your favorite flavors or a store near you that serves zeros. Just remember, got to be 21 years or older to drink and drink responsibly. More than anything, please drink responsibly. Go to drinkzeros.com. Also, my friends over at Roots of Fight. Ladies and gentlemen, go to rootsoffight.com. Use promo code When Wrestling Was Real, and you'll get 20% off all of their apparel. Some of the coolest, best designs you'll see for professional wrestling, especially some of those throwback designs and some of those wrestlers that may or may not be in the ring today. Go to rootsoffight.com, use promo code When Wrestling Was Real, and get your favorite wrestling apparel over there. Ultimate Warrior, there were so many moments in this match where there were comebacks. Explosive burst of offense, which we've seen from him so many times in almost every single match. His signature high energy sequences that gets the crowd going, gets the energy in the room at level 100 every single time. Warrior could do it better than anyone. It was contagious. His energy was so contagious that all 67,000 people wanted to shake the ropes with Warrior. We know what's going to happen. Hulk Hogan, he hulks up every single time. And when you're 7 years old, you love it. It feels great. And when you're 43 and you go back and watch it, it makes you feel like you're 7 again, seeing Hogan every single time that we thought he was down, that we thought the Warrior was about to take over and pin Hogan and win this match and take the title from him and kill Hulkamania forever. Hogan would come back every time. He would no-sell the offense, the finger wag, and of course, the big boot, which leads to the leg drop. And this is where most fans, they expect the finish. They've seen this sequence many times. They see the big boot, then they see the leg drop, and then, of course, they see the 1, 2, 3, and Hogan would prevail, as he always does. This is what we've seen throughout the whole 80s. Why wouldn't we see it like this now? The Warrior Splash. And what do we get? 1, 2, 3. Hulkamania just died in the middle of the ring at WrestleMania 6. And now we have the new face of professional wrestling, the new face of WWF, the new face of the 90s. That's what we were expecting. Out with the old of Hulkamania and Hulk Hogan in the 80s, and now we have the 90s, and the new face is going to be the Ultimate Warrior. So we thought. The match worked because it was a simple structure, but it was emotionally powerful. Emotionally powerful. Built around mythology of both characters. These were comic book-like characters. The crowd investment in this match made the match better than what it was. And even as an adult going back and watching the match, it was better because of the crowd. It showed us that Hulk Hogan could lose. It showed us that Ultimate Warrior did not need outside interference, did not need to cheat, did not need a gimmick to get over on Hulk Hogan. It showed that Ultimate Warrior was real. He was a great wrestler, and he was here to stay. And he was willing to take on any challenge that got brought to him. The post-match moment was iconic. Hogan hands over the WWF Championship to Warrior in the middle of the ring in front of 67,000 people. And he raised his hand. Now that we know Hogan the way that we know him, from the stories we've heard from the other wrestlers in the locker room with him, it makes this moment kind of like, wow, can't believe he did that. That doesn't sound like something Hogan would typically do. But it was a show of sportsmanship. A clean show of sportsmanship at that. It reinforced that there was no heel turn here. It's a battle of greatness against the two top faces in the company. You go back to Jake the Snake versus Ted DiBiase, you got two heels facing off against each other, and now you've got two baby faces, and the two biggest baby faces, the two biggest names at that time, coming out of the 80s, going into the 90s, we needed a new person. We needed a new face for the company. And Vince thought that Ultimate Warrior would be that guy. Ultimate Warrior, he becomes the champion and he becomes the face of the company. But like I said, briefly, his title run was less successful financially than Hogan's. He just never resonated with the everyday fan like Hogan did. Also with the 90s, just things started changing a little bit too. I think the face paint, I think the comic book character stuff, Early 90s, still relevant, but there was still a different feel and the air was just a little bit different in the 90s. He started getting criticized for his weaker promos and matches. I feel like this match was the pinnacle for Ultimate Warrior. This was the feather in the cap for his career. I think some of the casket matches with Undertaker fun, but this was his peak. It really was. Arguably, maybe his best match. You guys, please correct me on that. Tell me what you think his best match was. But I think this was Ultimate Warrior's maybe best match ever. Just not even a year later, 1991, he lost the title to Sergeant Slaughter. Typically, at that time, you would think he would get a run all the way to the next WrestleMania. Maybe he wasn't. He wasn't drawing the money. I think they were worried. Can he headline another WrestleMania without a Hogan across the ring from him? He had the look, he had the feel, he had the emotion. He just didn't have the connection with the fans, and he just didn't. Ultimately, when it comes down to it, you can run in there, you can shake the ropes, you can be high energy, you can have the look and all that stuff. If you cannot tell a story in the ring, you are not going to make it. The fans can see through it. The fans want that energy, but we still want good matches. We still want to see athleticism. We still want to see you tell a story in that ring. That's why we're tuning in. The promos are a little wacky-do, man. You're in outer space somewhere with those things. If he could have brought those promos to where they would actually connect with us and not as insane as they were, and then if he just had some better matches and wouldn't blow himself up running into the ring, I think Ultimate Warrior could have easily have been a guy that had a 2-3 year run at the top. When you talk about the fact that you lost a freaking title to Sergeant Slaughter, you just on paper you look at both of them and you go, which one would WWF pick as the champion? Which one do you think the fans would resonate with more? It would have been Ultimate Warrior. He just didn't know how. He just couldn't do it. But for the WWF, now WWE, it proved that they could create another megastar outside of Hogan. They tried throughout the 80s. Nobody resonated like Hogan did, but they created one with the Ultimate Warrior. He got over that night. That proved how hard it was to replace Hulk Hogan. If you think about it, they didn't replace Hulk Hogan until Stone Cold came on board. Fight me over that one. He didn't get replaced until Stone Cold. That was the next megastar that WWF had. People would tune in to watch no matter what. You've got plenty of great superstars there. You've got to have a guy like Hulk Hogan to get those guys over a lot of times. You need a Hulk Hogan to help carry a company and showcase it where people are going to show up for Hogan, but then all of a sudden they're going to see a Shawn Michaels. They're going to see an Undertaker. They're going to see other talent on the card because Hogan was on the card. People showed up, they saw them, and they went, oh, I like how Undertaker wrestles. I like his gimmick. I like that character. They didn't have that one person that was the nucleus, that was the person that could carry a company until Stone Cold. They tried. Ultimate Warrior on paper, God, he looks like the guy that could do it. But he just wasn't. He just didn't resonate with the fans like Hogan did. It was one of the first major face versus face WrestleMania main events. You always have good versus evil. That is what professional wrestling is all about. That's comic books. That is movies, action-packed. Marvel and the DC, they've made bazillions of dollars because of good versus evil. But this time we have good versus good, babyface versus babyface. It made us make a hard decision. It made us make a hard choice. That was one of the first times that we saw that in professional wrestling on that big of a stage. And it was a clean finish that passed a torch. Typically, we end up having some type of interference. We have somebody else come out of the locker room. We have gimmicks being used. We have, we got chairs or the belt being used or whatever it might be, or a referee getting knocked out, something like that. There's always something that happens when we are talking about a passing of a torch, bringing in a new era but not this time. Solid wrestling match from bell to bell. We didn't need any interference. We already had the two biggest stars in professional wrestling at the time facing off with each other. You don't need anyone else coming in and interfering in a match like that. The match itself should be able to carry the night. And now we get to see the passing of the torch done correctly, the right way, in a way that we've never seen before. All of a sudden, Hogan is handing the belt and raising Ultimate Warrior's hand. It was a feel-good moment. Good guy versus good guy. Somebody's got to lose, and we don't want either one of them to lose. Great ending to a crazy night. It's one of the most iconic matches of the Golden Era and a defining WrestleMania main event. Now, for me, I can remember I got the playing card of Hogan and Ultimate Warrior both laid out on the mat in the ring. And I believe, God, was it Hebner? Earl Hebner was the referee. And he's standing over both of them. And I've got that playing card somewhere. And I just would look at that all the time. And I loved renting that VHS when I was a kid and watching that night over and over, because those two superstars defined the 80s for me. And they were the two guys in the 80s on the WWF side that I loved to watch more than anything. Once again, it's not the greatest WrestleMania match. It might not even be in the top 10. It's got to be one of the greatest WrestleMania moments of all time. I would encourage you to go back and watch it yourself. As an adult, it is so great. Sit down with your kids this weekend and just let them see what the two biggest stars in the 80s looked like facing off against each other. If you stuck around all the way to the end here, I appreciate you. That really helps. If you could, please hit that like button. Leave a comment down below. And if you haven't already, just hit that subscribe button. It helps me out. And I really appreciate you guys supporting this channel. And always remember that wrestling is real and so is God.